Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm David Higgins, and thank you so much for being a part of this conversation today. I'm so excited about what we are going to be talking about. We are back in Ukraine, and so many incredible things have happened this last week in Ukraine. We're going to get a chance to talk about that. We also have an amazing interview. Sandra interviewed the director and founder of Operation USA, who is bringing in so much medical supplies into Poland, and they're running into a major problem, and we're going to talk about that problem in our conversation today. I can't wait for you to get a chance to hear that and your comments and your thoughts as you maybe have questions yourself saying, David, what about this? Sandra, Colton, what about that? And make sure you leave those comments and those questions in the comment section of this app that you're watching us on. I want to introduce my co-hosts who are right now in Lviv, Ukraine. And Sandra and Colton, it's great to be doing this again with you this week.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm Sandra Curry.
And I'm Colton Curry.
Man, so much is going on right now. Sandra and Colton, you are right now on the ground there in Lviv, and so much is happening, not just with Joshua House, with the city around you. How are things going? Are you guys safe right now?
Yeah, we're safe. There are a lot of air raid sirens going on. They did hit one gas station in the city earlier on this week, but with every other siren, it seems like they've intercepted whatever's trying to come into the airspace here.
Now, you're in your fifth location in how many weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, the past 2 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I've been moving a lot.
Did you go to the hospital yesterday, but you still haven't had the baby yet? Is that what I understand, Sandra?
Yes, we went to the hospital, but they said you still have to wait a little bit, for the baby to come out. But we can't.
Well, by the time this episode airs, you're going to have a baby in your hands, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you hope.
Yeah, we hope.
Mom, look what's going on, out there. I want to stay in for a little bit longer.
I think you would have a different idea of what should that be. So I'll let you make that call as a mom.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you guys have a lot of missiles? We keep hearing that the Russians are trying to bomb around and in Lviv. Is that actually happening?
No, they one missile only hit, but other missiles, they've been taken down. It's actually a really good news, because they can't get through to Lviv.
Yeah, it's a little further away from the border, so they have more time to be able to see and intercept missiles as they're coming in from Russia. I heard that they shot down 5 missiles that are incoming just in the last few days. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. It's amazing, that some air sirens are going off, but nothing actually hits us.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Joshua House? Can you give us an update of what you are doing on the ground right now?
Yeah, so Joshua House is currently speaking with Samaritan's Purse, trying to get one of our locations available to them so that we can have people come in and out of there so that they can get whatever supplies or help that they need.
One thing I know about Samaritan's Purse, we put a list together of the top 50 nonprofits that are certified, that are highly ranked as far as amazing organizations that are involved in Ukraine. We have that on our website, by the way, the nonprofitpodcast.org, where you can take a look at the 50 top nonprofits in Ukraine. And Samaritan's Purse is one of those. And these are all ones that Charity Navigator, Charity Watchdog, Nonprofit Online have all looked at and said they are well organized. They use their funds appropriately. But the difficulty on that list of 50 is that so many of them are unable to actually be in Ukraine themselves. They get to the neighboring countries, but they have to get into the country. And that's the difficulty. Samaritan's Purse is already there, right?
Yes, they have a location in Lviv, and we're trying to get in contact with them and see what other supplies they need. And we're trying to contact other people. How can we get the supplies, or if they can help us out with financially, or just by delivering the supplies to us.
Yep. So not only that, you're trying to get supplies to the east. Is that correct? Trying to find corridors to be able to get supplies into people on the eastern, more war-torn parts of Ukraine.
Yes, we're trying to find people who can actually deliver the stuff right away to east side. Because there could be different difficulties, you know, in getting stuff there right now because of how many Russia has taken over. But we're trying our best to find drivers and to find supplies that they need on east.
Yeah.
Very good. When you were talking to Operation USA, which is an amazing organization, which is actually also on our top 50 list of organizations that are very trusted that are involved there, this is one of the problems they're having.
They're having problems trying to get supplies even into Ukraine because of all the tax situations,
Tariffs.
being tariffed. Yeah. And it's a lot of regulation trying to regulate something that brings so much good to so many people.
Well, I can't wait to hear more about that conversation because that's going to be very interesting. Joshua House, they are being putting a call out for actual physical supplies as well as finances to be able to buy groceries for the people that are needing help. But some of those were like tourniquets, compression bandages, supplies, medical supplies, beds, cots, these type of things.
Yes, because we want to take in a lot more refugees and help them out and different families, and we don't have enough supplies to provide them with like beds and beddings and mattresses. Yes, that's what we're trying to do.
So much of your time right now is being spent on the logistics of opening up corridors of supplies from neighboring countries into Ukraine, and then from a staging area like Lviv into eastern Ukraine. And that must be so frustrating at times.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We're trying to get so much stuff done, not just in the logistics, but in repairing the house and preparing to bring in more families. It's just a lot on everybody's mind right now.
Yep. All right, so let's just talk about some of the things in the news.
One of the things that I read on that Russia is blaming Ukraine for bombing one of their gas stations right next to Ukrainian border.
Now, when you say gas station, this was a major fuel depot for the military, right?
Yes, it was a fuel station. And
so a gas station here in the United States, so it's a language thing, right, Sandra? A gas station is like AM, PM. On the corner, I fill up my car with gas. And so I don't think that's what was the military operation, right?
No.
No
AM, PMs allowed in Russia. They all are going to get bombed.
No BPs.
Yes, and it's crazy how they're blaming us, you know, because it's like,
well, I mean, you know, we don't have a definite, but it was probably Ukraine.
I love the way you're hedging your bets. I saw on the news last night that they even know the actual serial numbers of the helicopters and the pilots who went over there. So it was definitely Ukraine who went into Russia, blew up their military fuel depot, and got back. So I appreciate your hedging, but no, it was pretty solid news. Also, I've been reading a lot today and yesterday about Russia pulling out of Chernobyl.
Well, there are, like you said, a lot of different things. There are reports from the IAEA Director General that all the radiation levels around Chernobyl are normal. But then you also have reports coming out that say that there are so many Russian soldiers coming out of Chernobyl with radiation sickness. And, you know, it's just hard to tell what's what with all these different reports. But, you know, I'm hedging my bet that the radiation levels around there are still pretty high.
I saw a joke of a bunch of Russians outside of the plant, you know, where they have all the rods underneath the water, and they're saying, "Hey guys, look, they have a heated pool," and they're jumping in for a swim.
But, oh yeah, definitely happened.
Yeah, that's probably solid news reporting right there. I also have heard that the Belarusian pro-Russian troops, and that's been hard to find those because even this last week, another general who was told to advance on the Ukrainian border quit his post and refused to do it. But Russia has been pushing Belarus to attack Ukraine along the Ukraine-Polish border to cut off supplies coming in, humanitarian supplies, mostly coming in from Poland across the border to Ukraine, and drive a wedge between the two countries. And that they're saying may be happening here in the next week. I sure hope it doesn't, because right now, so many of the Belarusian troops have actually left Belarus and are fighting on the Ukrainian side around Kyiv, helping with the battle against the aggressor. So I hope what we end up seeing is Belarus not being able to move the way the Russians are really pushing them to do so. I am so excited about your interview today. Richard Walden has quite an amazing reputation as he has helped co-start and lead Operation USA. How many years have they been as a charity at this point?
43 years that they've been active and 43 years that he's been in the company.
Sandra, thank you so much for connecting with Operation USA and bringing us the story.
Hi, everybody. Today I get the chance, an amazing opportunity to talk with Richard. He's the CEO of Operation USA, and they're doing a lot of great work on raising funds for Ukraine and helping out refugees. It's actually really amazing what they already done. How are you doing, Richard?
I'm good, thank you. I should be asking you that question. I'm sitting here in sunny Los Angeles, and we're not. The only threat that we have regularly is the possibility of an earthquake, or a forest fire. But I've done this for 43 years, and I've been in a lot of war zones. We're sending a couple people over in about a month, but I'm staying here.
How did Operation USA started, and how did they grow so much?
We actually started by accident sitting on the beach in Los Angeles, the Venice Beach, and with another fellow. I was a commissioner of hospitals for the state of California. He was the mental health commissioner, and we were reading the Los Angeles Times newspaper, and there was the entire front page had only two subjects. One was a plane crash of a DC-10, and we're going, wow, the DC-10 aircraft is produced in just south of Los Angeles in Long Beach. Why don't we call the chairman of the aircraft company, McDonnell Douglas, see if we can be useful, but also get an airplane to fly supplies. But we didn't even know which country we would go to. And we got him on the telephone from the beach. And 1979 was years before laptops, cell phones. So it was old technology. And I had an apartment at the beach, and we went and called him. And we got him on the phone because we were state of California officials. And he took the call and he said, if the federal government in Washington will let these planes fly, or one plane, I'll give you a cargo DC-10, and you can fly it to wherever you think you need to go, just one way. And so 29 days later, with a huge amount of US press, we left. And the thing that was interesting was, after the Vietnam War ended in April of 1975, nobody in the United States wanted to think of Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, or the neighboring countries. They were so sick of 12 years of war. And no one had been there, almost no one, from the US in 4.5 years, since 1975 to late 1979. So it was a big news story that we had a plane, and we hadn't done anything yet. The other thing you should understand is, after 43 years, we've never had more than 12 staff, and right now we have 6, including a free 3,000 square meter warehouse in the port of Los Angeles that we get from the city of Los Angeles. We've had it for almost 25 years. And so there's no rent. So that's a blessing, because we have the ability to accept a lot of supplies, new and used hospital equipment and bulk supplies, hygiene, sometimes bottled water, sometimes masks for COVID and forest fire recovery. We use those masks. So we're able to do that. And the other trick is working through partners. So when Ukraine started up, we started to reach out, and we could have just gone to big US NGOs who we've worked with before, or United Nations agencies. We decided we wanted to work with Ukrainian groups, and we wanted to work with some Polish groups because we had a feeling the Polish government was not going to be necessarily easy for all this stuff coming in. You never know. And a lot of governments are protective. The Polish government now is pleading with groups here in the US, please don't send any more clothing, any more food. We've got enough. It's Western Europe. We can buy things, send money to the people you support. So far, I know this is your second question. So far, we've supported Razom, which is a big Ukrainian umbrella group. I think they're based in Chicago, but they have, LA has 115,000 Ukrainians here. And so they have a presence, and a group called Brook of Hope, which is a church affiliated group, and they're doing refugees. They're shuttling refugees, I assume from Lviv or possibly just from the border to other places. And then we have grants that we're in the final stages of vetting to make sure everything is as they say it is, to the following groups. I'm going to read these to you because you probably know them and I don't know them yet well. Nova Ukraine, one called Help Age that helps old people, the Polish Migration Forum, which is legal aid to refugees, and they definitely need that to deal with all the governments. Fundacja Okaleni, Voices of Children, and a Czech group called People in Need, whom we do know of. We knew them from before. That's around, we're the smallest of the small. Remember, we're not getting a US foreign aid money. So those grants are around 300,000 total. And as you know, we say we are doing this in 3 stages. So the first stage is, what do they need like immediately? But we know they can get materials in Europe. So a little cash goes a long way.
Yeah.
And the second stage is material aid from here and from other donors offshore. And that is coming in. And we'll arrange for sea shipping and air shipping both. Sea shipping, because we think this is unfortunately going to be a very long problem. Even if there's a peace of some kind, they still have to rebuild what the Russians bombed. And that is going to take years, not weeks or months. And so the long term is actually a strength of ours because we have a warehouse full of hospital equipment that will fit very nicely into clinics and hospitals once there's power and once there's access to the cities that we hope will no longer be bombed. But they have to be rebuilt, and that is not, we can't rebuild that, but we can certainly do a tiny bit to help Ukraine as it starts to rebuild. And I honestly, that was the most troubling part for me, was why the Russians thought this was okay to bomb these beautiful cities when they wanted to take them over, maybe for themselves. Why would you bomb something that you have to then pay for if they had taken control? So that's always a question mark. We think it's just craziness on their part. We hope that this ends, but we understand, we're clear-eyed about how long rebuilding process there is. We started helping a group that's not on this list because they don't have a name yet. It's a Ukrainian American doctor named Belerucian. I hope I pronounced it right. And he is in Los Angeles. And what he's doing is training medics. And on the Poland side and possibly other countries too, to go back into Ukraine. And there'll be women as well as men, because women can go back and forth. And men, they can, I don't know if they have to be foreign or not, but because we want them to get back out. But he's training medics, and we helped him put together, he put together 12,000 kits, first aid kits and medic kits with bandages and antibiotic ointment, things you need for minor injuries. Mm-hmm. We got a group in San Francisco Bay Area called White Pony Express, which is a volunteer group, but they have a warehouse. They put together 800 more kits, which we have, and we're sending them over this week to join with the 12,000 kits this doctor has. So there's an active training program going on. There's still a lot of doctors and nurses left in Ukraine, but they don't have any, their supplies are running down. We're hoping the Russians don't start attacking more warehouses. They hit a Red Cross warehouse apparently in one of the other cities, but we're hoping they leave Lviv. I know they haven't left Lviv alone, but we're hoping they aren't foolish enough to block any further humanitarian corridors. Again, I don't understand why they would want to block them. It still makes no sense, because if people want to get out, you'd think the Russians would say, fine, leave. They've already taken people to Russia, I don't know why they would want to block those highways, but they seem to have been doing that. So that's kind of our story. We want to help. I'm glad, I didn't know you, honestly, I didn't know you were in Lviv, and I'm delighted you are.
As of March 25th, you already guys raised $280,000 to be distributed to some of your partners that work with the refugees. So what started the process?
That's why we're
raising funds so quickly.
That was very good for a small group like ours. Usually, I just went to a conference of NGOs in San Diego, California, and two of them had just gotten $25 million each from Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, who's giving away billions of dollars, not necessarily for Ukraine, but to build their organization's work. And so those things haven't happened to us. And but the groups that I gave you in the beginning are the groups for vetting, and the groups we've already sent money to are Razom and this Brook of Hope, which is doing the shuttling of refugees. The other groups we're about to send wire transfers to in the next week or so. So then the next chunk of money, we can, as it comes in, it goes out. But we want to be super careful that these groups are who they say they are, and that our money will make a difference. So if there's a group that already has $20 or $50 million, ours, we'd better spend on a small group that has a very specific task and is working in a particular community or what have you.
Earlier, we were talking about some of the partners you're working on. You're working with on the ground in Ukraine and Poland, and maybe you heard any stories from the refugees, or maybe any of your partners that are working with the refugees, they heard any stories that you could tell us about that touched your heart or that inspired you?
I listened to the people at the Ukraine Cultural Center. I was moved by their stories because they were talking about families. They were talking about people like you that are staying behind to report. And they told stories of people having to uproot, to move, wondering if they can go back to their town, their city, waiting bravely in Lviv or going over the border, but not really emotionally able to leave the border region because their husbands or their sons were there, still in Ukraine. So that's going to be a difficult problem. I don't know. I mean, you know way better than I do, but it seems to me that an awful lot of people have cell phones or access to VPN networks or something on their ability to communicate with their families who have left is still intact. That's important because that'll keep people grounded, you know, and the families won't be guilty. The ones who do leave and come over here or go to the UK or Germany or somewhere, you don't want, I mean, the family's going to be thinking 24/7 about people inside that are their family and their neighbors, but you want to keep it as healthy as you can for them to be able to function in a new country. A lot of them are probably not going to be able to go back because their cities have been largely destroyed or half destroyed, and it's a dangerous environment to be in. So I don't have, you know, I would have more stories like I do from other countries that I've personally been in, but I used to jump on an airplane and be a real cowboy about these things and get in, we get first there and all that. And then as we matured as a relief agency, I realized I'm better, you know, doing advocacy, even if it's sitting in LA and talking to you and talking to other people, because it's important people understand this is still going on. The one thing we really are scared of is that in my 43 years, sometimes people get overloaded with news and there's a superseding event that happens, like an earthquake or a hurricane or another war in, let's say, China attacks Taiwan. And all of a sudden, Ukraine is still there and there's still a problem, but the people's attention refocuses elsewhere. So that's why it's important, like you're doing this is a podcast you're doing. So doing podcasts frequently because you gain an audience and people will want to hear what you're saying. And to me, that's critically important.
We know that you have some phases, you know, to help Ukraine, but the closer you get to the next two phases to help Ukraine, what are some difficulties that you've seen coming your way?
Material aid, the cost of transportation is up because of fuel price.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy is awakened, you know, in Poland and elsewhere, and they're going, you know, we need you to register as an international foreign NGO, and we're going, no, we're going to donate to a local NGO, and they will pay for it, but they will take it at the port of entry. It'll be their cargo, because once you get into having to register, you have to ask permission every time something happens. The Polish government has said, we just can't accept, and our customs people at the ports are going to start turning away things, or there'll be extra charges. Mm-hmm. Please don't send us this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, we don't send anything unless our recipient agency says, great, we need it, send it. And then we figure out how to get it there. But mm-hmm. if they are being undermined by bureaucracy, then it's going to be more difficult. So that the next stage is what we know how to do, is getting that. And there are agencies, you know, Poland and the other countries in NATO are used to Federal Express and other deliveries. There's NEAST, the US-based Ukrainian American run transport agency. There's other groups they collaborate with, but it's not free. It was free for a week or two, but now you have to pay pretty much commercial rates. So we have to be mindful of raising the money or getting a donation from a company. So we're hoping, we've asked a couple of corporate donors if they would do an employee appeal, ask their 50,000 or 100,000 employees to donate, and ask the company to match the donation and make it for a specific purpose, like rebuilding a school, rebuilding a hospital, better than just shipping. So some of these companies make products, but they also want to see their name on something that gets built. So we said, yeah, we've done that for you guys in China and Japan and other countries. So yeah, we're good for that, but it's got to be run by the Ukrainian partners. So once somebody says, would you consider rebuilding this health clinic?
Mm-hmm.
And then we said, okay, we'll tell you what, we can't handle the power. So if you can get the power started and the water flowing, then we know you can use the equipment that we're sending you. So that's the interesting part for us. We prefer doing that long-term development, but it's a war. So you have to do all three stages. You have to make some funds available that as you get them, deal with the material needs in the short and medium term, and then the infrastructure needs in the longer term.
I wanted to ask, what are some ways that our listeners can connect with Operation USA? And they can donate to your
find us online at Operation USA or opusa.org, and read our web. We took great care on especially our history pages, our finance pages. You'll see we have zero government money. We're not religious, but we've given to some groups that are faith-based, certainly, but we're not a faith-based group. So we're a secular group that focused in the early years on material aid, and now in current times, other things.
And on your website, whenever our listeners go to your website, they can donate there too. There's like a link.
They can donate from the U.S. is easier, possibly Canada, or they get information on wire transferring from outside the U.S. and Canada. But they can contact us either way, and we'll help them figure out how to donate. The easiest way for us here is with a credit card or sending a check to our office.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Richard.
You're very welcome.
Have a good night. Bye.
I actually didn't realize that they're battling through tariffs and these type of things just to get resources to the people that need it. I thought there was like this open corridor, but that's not the fact, is it?
Yeah, I think a lot of nonprofits right now are kind of struggling of getting supplies into Ukraine because of everything that's going on. It's way harder than it seems.
And that's what Joshua House is doing, isn't it? It's pushing the doors open on the border side to get resources into the country.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Joshua House is working on right now. And one of the differences between Joshua House and a lot of nonprofits that are outside of Ukraine is that we're already here and we're trying to help to bring the supplies and the help into Ukraine and distribute it throughout the whole country.
A major event is about to hit coming Palm Sunday. We're going to do a 7-day Instagram fundraising drive. It is a $1 to $5 drive, and it's to raise money for medical resources and bedding and cots for people coming from the east into Lviv. And in Lviv, we're going to end up providing this. Joshua House is going to be able to get resources to the people that need them right on the ground inside of Ukraine. And so please join us this coming Sunday through the following Sunday. It's Easter week, from Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday, where we are trying to get out there on all of our social networks an invitation for people to give $1 to $5. Our goal is that we're going to raise $10,000 for cots, bandages, medical supplies for those that are in Lviv and those that are coming from the East to find some support in Lviv and help them through Joshua House.
Such a great news, because raising funds, that's what really Joshua House needs right now. And we will give a shout out on our side, spread the news around, post it on social media, tell our friends about it, that they can donate to.
Well, I am looking forward to our conversation next week where you're talking to another nonprofit. You want to give us a hint on which one that we are interviewing next week that's working in Ukraine?
Well, Joshua House is trying to work with this nonprofit right now. And if you go back earlier on into the episode, you could maybe get a hint as to which nonprofit that is.
They're the top 50 nonprofits.
Very good. And I think I'm going to put on the list which one it is we're interviewing for next week so people can go and find out. Sandra, you were in the hospital yesterday. You are going back to the hospital. You basically came home to have a good night's sleep and talk to us. And now you're going back to have the baby. The next time we speak to you, there will be 3 members of the Curry family. And we're so excited about that. And we really hope that you stay safe, and our prayers are with you, Sandra.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this baby.
We'll pray for Colton, too, because we know he has so much to do with the birthing process, as all fathers do. And
I'll try not to break his arm.
We'll see if I come back to the next episode in a sling. So
very good. It's important to feel the pain. It really is.
Then I can say that I was really a part of it.
Because it's nothing comparing to the pain I will feel.
Oh, well.
I don't know. I mean, my wife's given birth to 3 children. It could be exaggerated, don't you think?
Maybe just a little.
No. No.
Well, you guys take care and stay safe. I cannot wait to speak to you again this next week. And in the meantime, you have a lot going on. So, I hope it goes well and you'll be in our prayers.
All right.
Thank you so much. You stay safe too.
Bye now.
Bye.
And to everyone that is listening to this podcast, thank you so much for what you do. We need nonprofits like yours, volunteers that volunteer at nonprofits that make our communications better. And that is why we thank you for being our listener here at the Nonprofit Podcast. Have an amazing week, and we'll speak again about Ukraine in just 7 more days. Goodbye.
Хай буде весна, там, де ми стоїмо до кінця, і нас не зламає.